Welcome to the garage on RidebuyPh. So when you think of a super bike, what bike comes to mind? If you're maybe from the older generation, you'll think of bikes like the FZR1000 and the Honda CBR 1000RR. If you are from the Instagram generation, chances are you're thinking of the Ducati Panigale or the bike we have here today, the BMW S1000RR. Yeah! So the BMW S1000RR is the flagship superbike of BMW Motorrad and represents the very pinnacle of performance and German engineering. Powering this bike is a 1000cc inline-4 engine producing an insane 205 horsepower and 113 Newton meters of torque. So obviously, napakalakas yan. That's more than enough power that anyone needs on the road. So, of course, with great power comes great responsibility, and thankfully, BMW has fitted this bike with quite a smart brain. And I mean a suite of rider electronics such as lean-sensitive traction control, cornering ABS, multiple ride modes including a very smart dynamic mode, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Of course, a lot of power means you need to come to a stop quickly, and you get these massive dual calipers at front, which are made by BMW, and a rather large and responsive rear disc here, which is a Brembo caliper. So as I mentioned earlier, this bike comes standard with front and rear ABS with cornering functionality. So ibig sabihin nun, tuwing lumiliko ka, as you're leaning the bike over, yung ABS niya nag-a-adjust depending on the lean angle para hindi siya mag-slide. Okay, so ngayon pag-usapan naman natin ang ergonomics ng motor na ito. So super bike siya, sport bike. Ibig sabihin napaka-subsob, and I will show you as I swing a leg over this bike. I am 5'7", with boots 5'8" ako. Kita mo, tiptoe ako. Okay, so now you'll see as I reach for the handlebars, my ergonomics will change drastically. That's it, and it's all the way down like this. So my regular riding position with my arms relaxed will have me hunched over the tank like this. So is it comfortable? No. But is it good for performance riding? Absolutely. This position here gives you a lot of leverage with the handlebars. Okay, so ideally when you're riding a sport bike like this, don't hold it with a death grip like this because it gives you poor leverage on the bars. Instead, experts would suggest that you hold it like a screwdriver, so your arms and elbows are slightly flared out, and this gives you a lot of leverage to actuate the steering like so. But overall riding experience for this bike is not for long distance riding, not even for commuting. It's really a canyon carving weapon or a track day tool. Okay, so now let's dive into the very comprehensive TFT display of this BMW S1000RR. So it opens up with a very nice animation showing you just exactly what bike you are riding. And then here you can see you can toggle all of these very fighter jet looking displays. So here you just click on the menu button here on the left side and you can toggle what kind of display you want to watch or to look at. Okay, so diving into the infotainment display or the TFT display of this bike, it's very comprehensive. So here you simply have to click on the menu button here on the left, and it will show you the menus that you can choose. So in my vehicle, it will show you all the pertinent stats, your engine temperature, your fuel range, your battery voltage, and all of that. And then as you go back here, this is my personal favorite, yung sport mode niya. Pag pumasok ka dito sa sport mode, very race bike ang itsura ng display. Meron siyang lean angle. So as you're riding and you're leaning, it will show you the lean angle in degrees there, left and right. It shows you how much brake pressure you're applying and how much throttle you're using, and whenever the dynamic traction control system steps in. This bike could come with navigation and media, but it's currently locked at the moment. This will come when you get the more high-end package of this bike. Okay, so we talked about the performance of this bike. 205 horsepower, 113 Newton meters of torque, very powerful. And yet, look at that fuel economy figure I'm getting. 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers. That's what, like 12-ish, 12 kilometers per liter on this super bike. And I haven't been really driving this thing frugally, no? Medyo, I'd give it the beans every now and then, and I'd still get this very efficient fuel reading. So imagine if you actually ride it very carefully. But, you know, a bike like this begs you to open the throttle and to really push it. So yeah, definitely this bike is not for beginners. It's for someone who has quite a few track days under their belt, someone who's used to riding and owning high-performance motorcycles. Okay, so I've clocked in maybe 100, 150 kilometers on this bike over the past 2 days. And you know, I'm not completely new to super bikes. I've owned high power motorcycles in the past, and this bike is very familiar. It brings back a lot of good memories for me. Except that this thing has a lot of technology. So for starters, meron siyang hill hold assist, which I find a bit intrusive sometimes. So lalo pag paakyat ka, the brakes will automatically actuate the rear brake pagka paakyat ka. And when you release the clutch, sometimes medyo aggressive yung pagkabitaw ng hold assist, tapos magsa-stall siya. As far as actually riding this thing in and around town goes, you know, you have the ergonomics, you have the very aggressive hunched over position. But in the world of super bikes, ito na yung isa sa mga komportableng motor. Compared to bikes like the Ducati Panigale and the Yamaha R1 and the Kawasaki ZX-10R, this bike is considerably more upright. Yung handlebar niya, yung clip-ons niya, mas mataas ng konti, tapos yung rear sets hindi kasing taas ng mga ibang bike. So yes, it's the most comfortable, one of the more comfortable super bikes in the market. Okay, so actually riding this bike around town, in terms of performance, you know, it has BMW's latest technology, so it has the dynamic riding modes. That means a throttle-by-wire system. So wala na siyang conventional throttle cable. So ang kada piga mo ng accelerator, those inputs go through the ECU, go through the computer before actually opening the throttle bodies. And that means very tunable and very linear ang kanyang power delivery, especially on dynamic mode. So now moving on to the suspension. So the motorcycle suspension, the S1000RR, is fully adjustable. Although yung mga on the higher end models, even the front and the rear, they're fully electronically adjustable. Pero on this bike, I believe only the damping here on the front is electronically adjustable. Everything else is mechanically adjustable, which is also very good though, because you can really dial in the settings you want depending on your riding style and where you're riding. So currently the bike is set up for the street, so it's on the softer side, so it really handles all the bumps on these twisty roads very well, considering how sporty and how committed the ergonomics are. Okay, so the engine is powerful, the suspension is great, but what about the brakes? As you would expect from a bike like this, the brakes are absolutely phenomenal. So this bike comes with brakes branded BMW, pero ang gumawa ng calipers ito is Hayes. So up front, you get two 320mm semi-floating rotors, and at the back, you get a single 220mm rotor clamped on by a Brembo caliper. Okay, so now it's time to give our ratings for this motorcycle. So now it's a BMW S1000RR. What more can you ask for? And if I could, I'd keep this bike for myself and never ever return it to BMW Philippines. But alas, we all have to return our bikes. Anyway, so performance. This bike deserves nothing short of a 10. So I give this bike a 10 out of 10. 205 horsepower, 113 Newton meters of torque, all the riding aids, all the brakes, the suspension, everything you could ask for is right there. 10 out of 10 performance. Handling, I'm gonna give it, this particular variant, which is the base model, a 9.5 out of 10. Yes, everything is adjustable, the suspension, the brakes, everything, but it's not electronically adjustable. So you sort of have to stop and, if you're not really familiar, study how to really tune the suspension, or even bring it to a shop to have the suspension tuned to your liking. So that's a 9.5 out of 10 for handling. For styling, I mean, seriously guys, just look at it. You get these crazy winglets, which are actually functional. They provide, I don't know how many kilograms of downforce at high speed, aggressive styling, LED lights, daytime running lights, everything. The works for the super bike. Come on guys, can you really give this anything less than a 10 out of 10 when it comes to styling? So 10 out of 10 for styling. Utility, super bike, dude, there's no utility. You open this compartment here, all you can put inside is maybe your wallet and maybe your phone and maybe your papers, that's it. Come on, let's be real, let's give it a 6 out of 10 for utility. Value for money, this bike is priced at 1,575,000 for the base model. But the top of the line models, guys, can go well over 2.9 million. And if you get all of those fancy accessories, you're looking at close to 4 million pesos easily. But this one, 1.575M, it undercuts some of the flagship super bikes in the market. So good value, all things considered, 8.5 out of 10. So overall ratings. So what overall rating for a bike like this, dude? 9 out of 10. Solid 9 out of 10 for the BMW S1000RR. So there you have it, guys. There's our quick first ride review of this super bike. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and stay tuned to the garage on RidebuyPh for the full written review. Thanks for watching.